If industry comes into your studio and takes a shit in the middle of the floor, and you have to pay $10 a week for somebody to come in and pick up the shit, shouldn't industry pay the $10?
If it was shit and not carbon, I don't feel that bad about CO2. That's what keeps plants growing. Do you know that since the CO2 has increased, the world is more verdant? It's actually, there's more greenery. When they do studies from above, there's more greenery on Earth because there's more CO2.
But
CO2 isn't all bad.
Yeah, but global climate change disrupts ecosystems, leads to the extinction of species, because then species have to move into other ecosystems where they're not well adapted. The ocean may very well be, you say we don't know, but if we don't know, then we maybe should think about, you don't know, you said we can't measure the acidification of the ocean.
Well, let me put it this way. We weren't measuring it 150 years ago before there was an industrial revolution. So there are a lot of these things we don't know what they should have been. We've got no baseline.
Let me use a bad analogy.
We don't have a baseline. Okay, go ahead.
Cigarettes in the 1930s. Mm-hmm. Now, people didn't know whether they fucked you up or not, but some people were like, putting smoke and 100 different chemicals into your lungs for several hours a day, maybe that's not the best thing. It's not unreasonable to think that even without definitive data on the acidification of oceans, that maybe we should do what we can within reason to reduce the things that lead to acidification, on the significant chance that we're fucking up the oceans.
I'm not willing to do a goddamn thing about the acid in the ocean, because it's CO2 emissions that have caused the Industrial Revolution that have made our lives better today. There are countries all over the world that want to catch up to us, and the way they're going to do it is with oil and with coal. And I'm not willing to sacrifice one African's life because of your worry about acid in the ocean that might kill mollusks that can't adapt quickly enough. By the way, I just wanted to finish.
Mollusks are not the only.
I wanted to finish my point about this. It turns out that because humans have a new generation every 21 years, little animals in the ocean have a new generation like almost every year, and it turns out they're adapting.
Oh, hold on. That is a bullshit argument.
Really?
Yeah, because evolution takes place generally on things that happen fast in evolution happen, I don't know, on 1,000 and 10,000 year scale.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. They, as far as evolution goes, they have records now of there are animals that have changed in 2 generations, in 40 years. On certain islands. In fact, Richard Dawkins says that's one of the best arguments for evolution, is that there are certain lizards that they've moved around the Mediterranean. They take them off one island, and in 40 years they're completely different.
All right, so great. The oceans, some lucky mollusks.
The oceans will survive.
Maybe. You've got some lucky mollusks who are evolutionarily primed to change super fast because they already have like some subpopulation that can do that. Not every one of the hundreds of thousands of species in the ocean is going to be so lucky, and a lot of them are going to get their asses kicked.
Yeah, and how many African people are you willing to let die because they don't have oil and coal? They have to they have to freeze or not be able to.
How many African people are you going to have get killed in all sorts of civil wars because people are forced out of the places they live by climate change and forced into places where they're going to get genocided? There are going to be lots of little wars and maybe some more significant wars than that because people are being pushed out of where they live.
Okay, I don't know that that's the case, but I know right now electricity, good transportation, air conditioning, things like that are keeping people alive right now. I can't make plans based on a scenario that you imagine may happen in the future. What's going to happen now is if we don't have coal and oil, the Africans are going to go into their forests and they're going to start burning wood. And that'll be a real problem. They'll burn every forest in Africa before they see their kids die. So I say give them the oil, give them the coal, and let the world do what it's going to do. We don't need to step in and try to destroy the coal and oil industry, which has made all of our lives possible.
Hold on. You're talking about two different industries. You're talking about oil and you're talking about coal. Now, coal is dirty as shit. And to some extent, I mean, the coal industry in America, there's a lot of assholes in the coal industry.
This is the level of argument I have to deal with. Go ahead.
Sorry, Massey Coal with their fucking scofflaw motherfucking CEO and everybody who just let...
Ad hominem.
Yeah, but I mean, the guy goes to prison for bullshit safety violations.
Do you know what an ad hominem argument is?
Yeah,
What
attack the man.
Instead of the argument. It doesn't matter to
all
me
right.
if there are assholes in the coal industry.
All right.
And by the way, how many Americans are you willing to put out of work because of your concern for certain mollusks in the ocean?
It's not just fucking mollusks. It's the entire fucking planet. There's 7.3 billion people on the planet.
Yes.
And we have a significant effect on, or at least we're affecting the climate.
Yes, we are. I believe that. So what? So it'll get hotter.
So maybe try to increase the cost of certain things, like coal should have. There needs to be a carbon tax to capture the costs to the planet and to society.
I don't believe there's a cost to our society. I don't care. I don't care if it gets hotter. I wish to God it would get hotter. It's freezing in here. I don't care if it's 2 degrees
I don't have
hotter.
goosebumps.
By the way, do you know they've done studies where they say that if they actually did set us back, if they did manage to stop all progress in the world,
Hold on, no wait, that's a bullshit.
we'd only lower the temperature 1 or 2 degrees. It wouldn't make any difference because people in China and India aren't going to go by this. They're going to keep doing everything they can to survive. We cannot stop the world from using oil
But you
and
can
coal.
draft reason. You can negotiate international agreements.
They're not going to go along with it.
If they see that we
what China is gonna let their own people starve and go back to the industry of the 1850s?
No, but they will
because
when
they
they have
sign
to-
an agreement with us.
When they have-
and what do we give them in return for this suicidal idea of yours?
You are making the argument that any kind of regulation equals going back to the 1850s.
I'm saying that if you don't go back to the 1850s, you're not going to change the climate, but more than a couple of degrees, and that won't make any difference. There's nothing we can do, Rick. That's the problem. The world's getting hotter, and the liberals can't stop it.
Here's where we agree. Forcing behavioral changes is less a winning strategy than coming up with technology that replaces dirty energy production and that ameliorates the effects of climate change. But that doesn't mean you should do nothing and let the world be a free-for-all.
I see no reason not to let the world be a free-for-all. It is a free-for-all, and it's
It's
gonna be
never
a
been a
free-for-all.
free-for-all.